Here are 5 chilling, haunted cemetery stories from around the world, each brimming with eerie legends and supernatural encounters. Story 1. The Vampire of Lafayette Cemetery, Colorado, USA. In the heart of Colorado, where the mountains cast long shadows and whispers of the past echo through time, there's a cemetery that holds a secret. Lafayette Cemetery, a place where local legend and supernatural mystery intertwine in ways that'll make your skin crawl. Let me tell you about a particular grave that's caught the imagination of generations. It bears 3 simple yet chilling words: born in Transylvania. Now, if those words alone don't send shivers down your spine, what happened next surely will. The story goes that the grave belongs to a man named Fodor Glava, a mysterious figure who worked the coal mines back in 1918. But here's where things get interesting. Some say he might not even be buried there at all. Yet the tales that surround this grave have taken on a life of their own. According to local folklore, the community was so convinced that Glava was a vampire that they took matters into their own hands. They drove a wooden stake through his heart, a traditional method of dispatching the undead. But instead of ending the story there, something extraordinary happened. That stake, they say, took root and grew into a tree, as if the very earth itself wanted to keep whatever lies beneath firmly in place. But wait, it gets even more peculiar. Have you noticed those blood-red rose bushes that grow near the grave? Local legend insists they're not roses at all. They're the vampire's fingernails, continuing to grow even after death, emerging from the soil as crimson reminders of what lies beneath. And then there are the sightings. Multiple witnesses over the years have reported seeing something that makes their blood run cold: a tall, slender figure in a dark coat, perched atop the tombstone like a bird of prey. They describe him with unnaturally long fingernails, just sitting there, watching. Is it the spirit of Fodor Glava? Is it something else entirely? What makes this tale particularly fascinating is how it blends American frontier history with old-world supernatural beliefs. Here we have a Transylvanian immigrant who came to Colorado seeking a new life in the mines, only to become the center of a vampire legend that would outlive him by generations. Whether you believe in vampires or not, there's something undeniably compelling about this story. It reminds us that sometimes the most interesting tales aren't found in books or movies, but in our own backyards, in the quiet corners of old cemeteries where history and mystery become one. So next time you're near Lafayette Cemetery, particularly as the sun sets and shadows grow long, you might want to keep an eye out for a tall, dark figure with long fingernails. Just don't get too close to those blood-red roses. They might be more than what they seem. Story 2. The Green Glow of Forest Park Cemetery, New York, USA. Let me take you on a journey to one of America's most chilling locations, Forest Park Cemetery in Brunswick, New York. On the surface, it might look like any other abandoned graveyard, with its crumbling headstones and overgrown paths. But there's something different about this place, something that has captivated ghost hunters and paranormal enthusiasts for generations. The cemetery's most infamous feature is its haunted mausoleum, where visitors have reported seeing an otherworldly green glow emanating from the empty spaces where coffins once rested. This isn't your typical ghost story. The phenomenon has been witnessed by countless visitors over the years, each description eerily similar to the last. The light seems to pulse, almost as if it's breathing, casting an ethereal emerald hue across the weathered walls. But the strange occurrences don't stop there. Local taxi drivers have their own tales to tell, and these stories send shivers down even the most skeptical spines. They speak of picking up passengers, usually lone figures standing by the roadside near the cemetery, only to have them completely vanish from the back seat as they approach the graveyard's gates. These phantom passengers never pay their fare, never speak a word, and leave no trace of their existence. Perhaps the most unsettling feature of Forest Park Cemetery is the decapitated angel statue. Local legend speaks of a peculiar phenomenon where the statue appears to bleed from its severed neck. While skeptics are quick to attribute this to natural moss growth, those who've witnessed it firsthand swear there's something more sinister at play. The bleeding tends to occur more frequently during full moons and on particularly foggy nights, adding another layer of mystery to this already enigmatic location. The cemetery's reputation has grown so notorious that it's become something of a pilgrimage site for paranormal investigators. They come equipped with EMF meters, cameras, and voice recorders, hoping to capture evidence of the supernatural. Some leave convinced they've encountered something beyond explanation, while others depart with more questions than answers. What makes Forest Park Cemetery particularly intriguing is how these phenomena seem to interact with each other. On nights when the green glow is at its strongest, taxi drivers report more frequent phantom passenger sightings, and the angel statue's bleeding becomes more pronounced. It's as if there's an unseen force orchestrating these supernatural displays, creating a haunting symphony of the unexplained. Story: The Stull Cemetery. The Devil's Portal, Kansas, USA. There's a place in Kansas that sends chills down the spine of anyone who hears its story: Stull Cemetery. Nestled in the quiet countryside, this seemingly ordinary graveyard has earned a reputation that's anything but normal. In fact, some call it one of the most haunted places in America, and others, well, they believe it's actually a gateway to hell itself. Let me take you back to the 1850s when our story begins. Picture this. A mysterious witch, living on the outskirts of town, caught the attention of an unlikely suitor, the devil himself. Their forbidden romance led to something unprecedented, the birth of a child, half human, half demon. But like many tragic love stories, this one didn't end well. Now, twice a year, when the veil between worlds grows thin, locals say the devil himself appears in Stull Cemetery. Once at midnight between spring equinox and Easter, and again on Halloween night. He comes not to torment the living, but to mourn his lost child. Some visitors claim they've seen mysterious lights, heard unexplainable sounds, and felt an overwhelming sense of dread that seems to seep from the very ground itself. The old church that once stood here only adds to the cemetery's dark reputation. Though now in ruins, its crumbling stones are said to pulse with sinister energy. Some paranormal investigators believe these ruins act as an amplifier for supernatural forces, making Stull a unique hotspot for otherworldly activity. The cemetery's infamous reputation has come at a price, though. Over the years, curious thrill seekers and paranormal enthusiasts have flocked here, leading to vandalism and desecration of graves. It got so bad that local authorities had to step in, setting up strict security measures and restricting access to protect both the property and the souls resting there. But here's what makes Stull truly fascinating. Despite all the legends and supernatural claims, no one can definitively explain why this particular cemetery became associated with such dark forces. Is it merely local folklore that spiraled out of control? Or is there something more sinister lurking beneath those weathered tombstones? Whether you believe the stories or not, one thing's for certain. Stull Cemetery stands as a testament to how powerful local legends can become, and how a simple graveyard in Kansas became known worldwide as one of the 7 gateways to hell. Just remember, if you ever find yourself near Stull on Halloween night or the spring equinox, you might want to think twice before stopping by. You never know who else might be paying their respects. Story 4. Resurrection Mary, Chicago, USA. On a dark, winding stretch of Archer Avenue in Chicago, there's a story that's been passed down for nearly a century. The haunting tale of Resurrection Mary. You might have heard about ghostly hitchhikers before, but Mary, she's different. She's become such a legendary figure that she's practically Chicago's supernatural celebrity. Picture this. It's a chilly Chicago night, the kind where your breath forms clouds in the air. A young woman in a flowing white dress stands by the roadside. Her blonde hair catches the moonlight, and her pale skin seems to have an otherworldly glow. She's beautiful, but something about her seems off. The story goes back to the 1920s when a young woman, Mary, was enjoying a night of dancing at the O. Henry Ballroom, now known as the Willowbrook. After an argument with her boyfriend, she stormed out into the winter night. That decision would be her last. A hit-and-run driver struck her on Archer Avenue, leaving her to die in the cold. She was buried in her favorite white dancing dress at Resurrection Cemetery. But death, it seems, wasn't the end of Mary's story. Since then, countless drivers have reported picking up a young woman in white along Archer Avenue. She's always polite, quiet, and ice-cold to the touch. Some say she asks to be dropped off at Resurrection Cemetery, while others report her simply vanishing from their car mid-journey, leaving nothing but a lingering chill in the passenger seat. Local police have received so many reports about Mary that they've created a special file for these encounters. Taxi drivers, police officers, and ordinary people, their stories are remarkably consistent. A young woman in white, looking for a ride home, disappearing into the night. One of the most compelling accounts came from a cab driver in 1976. He picked up a young woman near the cemetery, but when he turned to collect his fare, she had vanished, leaving behind only frost on the inside of his windows on a warm summer night. What makes Mary's story different from other ghost tales is the sheer number of credible witnesses and the consistency of their experiences. She's been seen by skeptics and believers alike, and her legend has become deeply woven into Chicago's cultural fabric. Perhaps what makes Resurrection Mary's tale so haunting isn't just the supernatural element. It's the very human story at its core. A young life cut tragically short, a final dance never finished, and a spirit that seems unable to find its way home. Whether you believe in ghosts or not, her story reminds us of the fragility of life and the power of urban legends to capture our imagination. So the next time you're driving down Archer Avenue on a dark night and you see a young woman in white asking for a ride, well, that's entirely up to you. But don't be surprised if your passenger seat feels a little colder than usual. Story 5. The Mackenzie Poltergeist, Greyfriars Kirkyard, Scotland. In the heart of Edinburgh's old town lies a cemetery that sends chills down the spines of even the bravest souls, Greyfriars Kirkyard. But this isn't just any ordinary graveyard. It's home to what many consider Scotland's most violent and well-documented supernatural entity, the Mackenzie Poltergeist. Picture yourself walking through these ancient grounds where weathered tombstones stretch as far as the eye can see. The air feels different here, heavier, almost oppressive. And there's good reason for that. The story begins with Sir George Mackenzie, a man known in life as Bloody Mackenzie. In the 17th century, he earned this chilling nickname as the Lord Advocate of Scotland, where he ruthlessly persecuted Scottish Covenanters, religious dissenters who opposed the Crown's interference in church matters. Under his command, hundreds were tortured and executed, many of their final moments spent in the very grounds where his tomb now stands. For centuries after his death in 1691, Mackenzie lay undisturbed in his black mausoleum. But in 1999, something extraordinary happened. A homeless man seeking shelter from a storm broke into Mackenzie's tomb. The man fell through the floor into a pit of ancient coffins, an act that some say awakened something that should have remained dormant. What followed was unprecedented. Visitors began reporting bizarre and frightening experiences. It started with sudden temperature drops and an overwhelming sense of dread. People emerged from the area with inexplicable bruises, scratches, and cuts. Some collapsed without warning. Others felt invisible hands pushing them, pulling their hair or grabbing their throats. The incidents became so frequent and violent that they couldn't be ignored. Over 500 documented attacks, multiple people hospitalized, tour guides reporting cameras failing mysteriously, equipment breaking without explanation, and visitors fainting on the spot. Some left with finger-shaped bruises on their arms and neck, despite no one having touched them. The situation grew so serious that the city had to take action. Parts of the cemetery, including the Black Mausoleum, were locked up, accessible only through guided tours. But even these restricted visits couldn't guarantee safety from what lurks within. Today, the Mackenzie Poltergeist remains one of the most active and aggressive supernatural entities ever documented. Whether you believe in ghosts or not, one thing is certain. Something dark and unexplainable haunts these hallowed grounds. Is it the vengeful spirit of Bloody Mackenzie, still terrorizing the living as he did in life? Or is there another explanation for these horrifying encounters? The ancient stones of Greyfriars Kirkyard keep their secrets, but they continue to draw those brave enough to face what might be waiting in the shadows of the Black Mausoleum. Just remember, if you ever visit, you do so at your own risk. Some say the moment you step into Mackenzie's domain, you become fair game for whatever force resides there. For more spine-tingling tales, subscribe to BooTube Tales. Would you dare visit any of these haunted grounds?